Pastor Matt here, and we are reading The Mortification of Sin by John Owen. We are tackling chapter 11. We've already read through the majority of it. Part 1, we read the third direction. Part 2, we read the fourth and fifth direction. And in this portion, we're going to read the sixth and the seventh direction that John Owen gives when dealing with sin. The sixth direction says, guard against the occasions and opportunities of your sin. Consider the occasions and opportunities your disease. I haven't pointed this out, but I like how he's shifted to using this word disease. It's an interesting thing because um, I normally don't like that term when it talks about sin, because I think of um, people that will talk about alcoholism as a disease. And part of me wants to go, yeah, but we need to acknowledge the sinfulness of that particular thing, not just because disease could be an excuse. But he's speaking about it in terms of, and think carefully here. He's speaking about it in terms of the fact that we, as believers who have a renewed spirit and soul, are still within this disease-ridden body, this sin-ridden body. This physical body that we are in has not been yet glorified to perfection. And so that's what he's talking about. We are in this body. And for him to describe it as a disease, he's describing all sin in some way as a corruption, an infection, so to speak, that we have, right? So uh, there's a lot that could be said on that, more than what I'm saying right now, but I just thought I'd point that out. I noticed he's used that a couple times, but hadn't said anything yet. All right, back to the reading, sorry. Consider the occasions and opportunities your disease takes to assert itself, then guard against them all. This is one part of the duty that our blessed Savior recommends to his disciples, named watching. Oh, good. I'm okay. Time out. So happy about this. Watching. I referenced it in the last episode because he talked about it, and I gave my thought as to what I think he's talking about. So I haven't read this yet, so I'm super excited. What is this? What is this about? Hopefully he gives some uh, additional information about this. Okay. I've always wondered about this too. Gosh, I'm so excited. I've always wondered about this word watching. What is this? I'm super happy. Okay. I say to you all, watch. In another place, pay attention, or your hearts may be overburdened. So that pay attention is that watch. Watch against all outbursts of your immorality. I'm referring to the duty which David claimed to exercise. I have kept myself from wickedness. He watches. Let me pause here. I want to see. I haven't been doing this, but I want to see if I click this. I think it'll take me to the reference. Let's see if it'll load it up. Yeah, Psalm 18:23. So I've been wondering if I could click on those and take me to the reference. He watched all the ways his sinfulness worked, both to block them and to oppose them. This is what we are called to do under the name of considering our ways. Consider which ways, companions, opportunities, studies, business, and conditions have usually or at any time provided opportunities for your disease to assert itself. Then attentively set yourself against all of them. Okay, that's interesting. Uh, we live in a world that has grabbed a hold of the term woke. I think it potentially had a an air of something that was good, like get your eyes open sort of thing. This is a much better way of thinking about this. Considering, see, this takes thought, considering which the ways, companions, opportunities, studies, business, and conditions have usually or at any time provided opportunities for your disease, your sin, to assert itself. Then attentively set yourself against all of them. This is a powerful, powerful method to adopt. Watching, being aware, paying attention to what you're doing and how it affects you.
Okay. Men do this with respect to their physical infirmities and diseases. They avoid the seasons, diet, and air that have proved offensive. Things of the soul are no less important. You need to know that anyone who dares to dally with the occasions of sin will dare to sin. Where's my highlighter at? That's a good one too. You need to know that anyone who dares to dally with the occasions of sin will dare to sin. Anyone who dares to be tempted to wickedness will dare to be wicked. This guy has Ale thought he would not be as wicked as the prophet told him he would be. To convince him, all the prophet needed to say was, "You will be king of Syria." If he risks the temptation to be cruel, he will be cruel. If you tell someone that he will commit such and such sins, he will startle at it. But if you convince him that he will have opportunities to commit them and be tempted in specific ways on specific occasions, then he will have little ground left for his confidence. There are many facets to this topic that I will not go into here, but because this topic is no less important than the whole doctrine handled here, I've addressed it at large in another treatise. Okay, so I'm thinking that's another book that he's written, another book that is out there. So maybe we'll find that one, figure out which one that is. All right, the seventh direction, this last one in this chapter, react swiftly against the first signs of your sin. React swiftly and powerfully against the first indications of your disease at its initial conception. Do not let it gain the least bit of ground. Do not say, "This far and no farther." If you allow it one step, it will take another. It is impossible to fix bounds for sin. It is like water in a channel. If it breaks out, it will take its course. It is easier to contain if inactive than turbulent. James describes the graduation and progress of lust so that we may stop at its entrance. Stop it, right? At its entrance. Do you find your corruption beginning to entangle your thoughts? Rise up against it at that point with all your strength. Be no less indignant than if it had fully accomplished what it aims to do. Consider what an unclean thought would have you do. It would have you roll yourself in folly and filth. Ask envy what it would have you do. It would have you murder and destroy as the result of it. Set yourself against it with no less vigor than if it had completely debased you in wickedness. If you do not, you will not prevail. As sin gains ground on your affections, making them delight in itself, it also gains ground on your understanding, making it overlook such sin. And so has so many fallen into adultery by not stopping it at the first step. There may have been a point, there are people that would have said, "No way would I ever commit adultery in my marriage. No way." But this is how it begins. This is how it begins. And this is how it goes, right? Do you see that he's saying this? If you would have been told, "Hey, you're going to do this," there's many who have done it who would have said at one point, "No way." But what did they do? They gave ground near the beginning and it overtook them entirely. Well, thank you for listening to this chapter of Mortification of Sin by John Owen. If you have any questions, please consider reaching out. Please consider subscribing and letting me know what you think about what we've learned so far. And in your battle with sin, I pray that you put these directions into effect more and more each and every day. Again, thank you for listening.